Hey everyone, welcome back to the 414. I'm your host, Rusty, and here's what we've got to talk about today, Friday, February 17th, 2017. We're going to talk about Naomi. We're going to talk about the women's title match this past Monday night on Raw. We're also going to talk a little bit about TNA, something we don't do a lot here, but we're going to talk TNA. We're going to talk about John Cena and Bray Wyatt. When is Darren Young going to be coming back to the WWE? And we've got Kurt Angle possibly on tap, wrestling in the WWE once again. All of this along with this day in wrestling history and your questions as asked over on Ask FM. All that today on the 414.
To the last defender.
Hey, welcome back to the 414. We're going to jump right into this. We're going to talk about Naomi and her injury. There's some crazy stuff going on here. We don't know if Naomi's actually injured. We saw this past Tuesday on SmackDown that she came out with a knee brace on. She didn't even come out to an entrance for a world champion to come out, for the first time. No entrance at all. It was kind of weird. And she's standing in the ring with Renee Young and, said, hey, I didn't even know that I was injured until I got backstage. The adrenaline wore off. I was finally able to rest. And that's when I realized I was injured. Not a big deal, right? Maybe she is, maybe she isn't injured. Alexa Bliss, of course, came out to the ring, said you have 1 week. You have 1 week to heal up because I get a rematch for my belt. And I'm either just going to take it from you, or if you're injured, you're going to give up the belt. Naomi, of course, is saying come hell or high water, she's going to go to WrestleMania Orlando as the SmackDown Women's Champion. So we're going to have to see what's going on. But the previous night, and this is what hasn't been reported as of recently, they have a house show in Oakland, California. The same one we reported on where Heath Slater and Connor and Victor got their car broken into. They had a house show that night, and Naomi was supposed to be in a match with two other women going up against Alexa Bliss, Natalya, and Carmella. She was pulled from that. She didn't wrestle, and they changed it to a 3-on-2 handicap match. So it might actually be a legitimate injury and not a storyline injury going on here because Naomi didn't wrestle. Who knows quite what's going on here? It could definitely be a storyline. They might be trying to bring up some sympathy for Naomi going into WrestleMania. We're not quite sure. We'll have to see next week on SmackDown what's going on there. And speaking of women in the WWE, this past Monday night, Raw's numbers did not do so well heading into the third hour. Per usual, we know that the third hour is always down. First hour of Raw had 3.19 million viewers. They're close to 3.2 million viewers. Hour 2 had 3.153 million viewers, and hour 3 dropped to 2.9 million viewers. Now, it doesn't seem like it's that much of a drop, but that is the overall of what is going on there. If you remember, hour 3 started with the Festival of Friendship. We had an Enzo and Cass segment in there for a match, and we also had the world title match for the Raw Women's title between Bayley and Charlotte, which Bayley ultimately won, and they're really trying to build up Bayley with the teenage girl population as the John Cena of the women to pull the kids in and get it going, because John Cena pulls kids in, Bayley pulls girls in as well. So the Wrestling Observer is reporting what's going on here with the viewership, and it is shocking to see what happened, that 38% of teenage girls changed the channel or turned their TVs off before the third hour, full well knowing that Bayley and Charlotte were still yet to come in the main event going on. Like I said, the third hour was down, among adults across the board. Women 18 to 49 was down 14%, which was less than last week's 22% drop. So the older women, 18 to 49, they stuck around, and men definitely seem to stick around as well. They only dropped 3% from hour 2 to hour 3, but 38% among teenage girls, the demographic that Bayley targets the most, didn't see the match. That is crazy to me. You look at how they've built Bayley up ever since bringing her onto the main roster, and I'm not sure that they're building her right. You know, sure, she's got a teenage following, and she's the hugger, and she's good with the kids and things like that, but maybe, just maybe, they're not marketing her correctly. Those girls, those 38% of girls should have seen that match. Now, there's a couple things at play here. If you're on the East Coast, Raw goes till 11 o'clock. If you're in my time zone, it goes till 10. And that's still kind of late for some of the teenage kids. You know, they might not be staying up that late. You put it on as the last match of the night. 10 o'clock is bedtime for a lot of kids. 9 o'clock might even be bedtime as well in the central time zone. And you're looking at that point, that's half the country right there, shutting off their televisions for their teenage kids way before that third and final hour. As I stated with what was going on with Monday Night Raw in the Raw review, pacing and timing seemed to be an issue with what was going on throughout the entire night. They should have put the Festival of Friendship on last. They should have had the Charlotte and Bayley match earlier in the night. And showing that we've got a 38% drop in viewership in teenage girls going into hour 3, that right there shows what they need to do going forward. Bayley needs to be on early in the night. You want those teenage girls to see her. You want them to be cheering for her. You want the matches to be seen. That's a huge drop going forward in the demographic that you so desperately want to grow into the future and be those women, the 18 to 49, that continue to watch into their adult years. I want to know what you guys think on that. Should they have put that in hour 2? Should that match have been the highlight of hour 2, or was it good to keep it where it was? I want to know about what you think in the comment section of this video. Moving along, we got a little bit of TNA news. Got a picture here. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, they've been doing a little bit of traveling as of lately. And you can see that the referee's face is blurred out. So they've had a lot of stuff going on here. You know, Matt and Jeff Hardy, they defeated Super Crazy and Psychosis to capture the Crash World Tag Team Championships down in Mexico recently. So they're out there doing that kind of stuff. They've been going all around right now. They've been really hitting the circuit, doing a lot of independence. And, you know, they're tag team champions for TNA, for Crash, and for MCW right now. And they're scheduled to face the Young Bucks on April 1st, Supercard of Horror 11 in Lakeland, Florida during WrestleMania weekend. So we know that they're doing a lot of stuff out there, but there's a small problem with this. So they're showing the footage on TNA because it's Matt and Jeff. TNA received a cease and desist letter from Lucha Underground because the referee working the match is actually under contract with Lucha Underground right now, and his contract says you can't appear on another promotion's TV show. So TNA, Impact Wrestling, had to go through and blur out a referee's face. The video's already surfaced on YouTube. It's been out for a little bit. If you were lucky enough to see it before it got pulled or turned to private, you saw the madness that happened of TNA Impact Wrestling having to blur out a referee's face. You know, they really didn't have an option in this because there could have been legal action on here. So it's pretty crazy. You know, you look at all the stuff that TNA's been going through. They got bought out. They've got a new change in management. Jeff Jarrett is back in charge again. Dixie's not there anymore. People are leaving. People are coming back. It's pretty nuts. It is nuts to see that TNA, in this day and age of what is going on, couldn't work something out with El Rey Network and Lucha Underground to have a referee's face shown on television. Oh my God. They've got to fix some stuff. Moving along, we're going to talk about the match that happened on Tuesday. Bray Wyatt, AJ Styles, John Cena. We had a triple threat match for the WWE World Championship, and apparently John Cena is the man who is responsible for Bray Wyatt going over. Sean Waltman, you know him as X-Pac. He's got his podcast, X-Pac 12360. He had some thoughts on what was going on and heard about what John Cena did for Bray Wyatt. He stated in his podcast he's not sure what the finish was actually supposed to be off the bat, but he knows for a fact, with his sources and everybody that's there behind the scenes, John Cena insisted on putting Bray Wyatt over once again on SmackDown. Completely insisted on it. He says it's not a rumor. John Cena is the reason Bray Wyatt is your WWE World Champion right now. There's a possibility that on SmackDown we could have seen Bray Wyatt lose and go into WrestleMania not as the champion and continue a feud with Luke Harper and Randy Orton and possibly Eric Rowan. If that ends up coming into the mix, Randy Orton could have gone on to go do whatever he was going to do with his Royal Rumble win and go up against John Cena or go up against AJ Styles. But instead, John Cena fully insisting Bray Wyatt gets the rub, laid down for Bray Wyatt, took the pin, and Bray Wyatt is still your WWE World Champion. I think this is a great thing right now. It shows, and I talked about this on Tuesday's review, that guys like AJ Styles and John Cena, guys who are veterans in the business, are doing amazing things right now to make sure that this new crop of talent are getting over. Randy Orton is also doing the same thing, and it all seems to be happening on SmackDown, right? You've got Dolph Ziggler, a veteran, putting over guys like Kalisto and Apollo Crews. You've got The Miz, a veteran, putting over guys like Baron Corbin. Dean Ambrose, one of your younger guys that are on the roster. Dean Ambrose working with Baron Corbin. Dean Ambrose, I would call a veteran right now in WWE. He's been around for a few years. And then you've got John Cena, who laid down twice in a week for Bray Wyatt. AJ Styles putting Baron Corbin over in a fatal four-way. They're building their stars and they're doing it in the right way. Unlike over on Raw, where you never know what is going on at any given moment. I love it. I love seeing this. I love seeing the older talent putting over the newer talent. And I do got to say that over on Raw, they're doing the right thing with Braun Strowman right now. He just defeated Mark Henry. He just defeated Mark Henry on Monday Night Raw. And next week, we found out during SmackDown's broadcast that he's going to be facing Big Show. And that's going to be a hell of a great match between those two guys. They've been wrestling. When they did the European tour, they were doing a body slam challenge thing as they were touring through Europe. This was before we started seeing pictures of the absolutely cut Big Show. I don't know if you've seen that lately. Dude has lost a lot of weight, looks amazing, and looks like he's probably in the best shape he has been in since his WCW days. So Big Show is going to be out there. He's going to put over Braun Strowman. A couple of things are probably going to happen. Either Big Show is going to lay down, take the pin, Braun Strowman's going to win, or there's going to be some interference from Roman Reigns. One of the two. We're going into Fastlane, but the big guys that were there for years, your veterans, are starting to give the rub to the newer guys and the talent that they think absolutely have earned and deserved what's going on. Bray Wyatt being one of those. He has lost to everybody over the last 3 years. This guy has lost to everyone. Had a hell of a series with John Cena, and then moved on from there and couldn't get a win to save his life. But we also have a returning superstar, apparently. As I mentioned, going on, and we're going to skip over Darren Young at the moment. We're going to go straight to Kurt Angle. Wrestling Observer Newsletter is reporting that it's not clear when it's going to happen right now. But Kurt Angle is going to wrestle for the WWE as long as he passes all of his medical tests, the standard medical tests that everybody has to go through. Kurt Angle will be wrestling in the WWE once again. He has been wrestling for other promotions recently. He just wrestled Alberto El Patron, I think is what he's going by now. We all know him as Alberto Del Rio, over at the WCPW True Destiny show, and looked great doing it. I don't know if you've caught that match, but you can go see that. That's some good stuff. It's out there. Go watch that match. And he's looking all right, and he's putting younger talent over. He's wrestled Cody Rhodes just a few months ago in a great series. I think it was like a best of 3. He wrestled Cody Rhodes a few nights in a row. But it looks like we're going to get Kurt Angle in the WWE, and I am highly excited about the prospect of getting probably one of my favorite in and out of ring wrestlers back in the WWE. I can't wait to see if he comes back in a comedic sense like he did with Stone Cold Steve Austin. I can't wait to see if we get him in a serious sense. I can't wait to see what they've got planned for Kurt Angle coming back. We know that John Cena is leaving after WrestleMania, and there's going to be a void in the locker room on the SmackDown side. Same goes for Monday Night Raw. Chris Jericho might not be around much longer after WrestleMania, after his upcoming possible match with Kevin Owens. So we're going to have to wait and see what we get right after WrestleMania. But my guess would be that's where they're going to fit Kurt Angle in. You know, are they going to put the Olympic superstar on SmackDown with Chad Gable and Jason Jordan on the same roster? I think it would be a great thing. I want to see him in there. We've said it for a while. Having him mentor American Alpha would be one of the best things for Kurt Angle to do right now. It would definitely help American Alpha. It would help the tag team division. He could wrestle every once in a while guys like AJ Styles, Bray Wyatt, Baron Corbin. Throw him in there. Help him get other talent over, and that would be the best thing for Kurt Angle. Sure, you're going to give him a win. He's definitely going to have a win or two in there because he is a WWE bred guy, in and out. That's just the way Kurt Angle is. But it's going to be pretty crazy to see Kurt Angle showing up on Raw or SmackDown once again. SmackDown was his home for a very long time, so I'm really hoping that's where we see him on there. And apparently Kurt Angle can really do a lot of the stuff that, he's known for doing in the ring, which was good. And he's gotten over a lot of his personal issues that really kind of stopped his last WWE run. Jim Ross on his podcast noting that Kurt Angle is eating very clean these days, not eating junk food, not being, not doing what I know there was a painkiller issue going on with Kurt Angle a while back, and that doesn't seem to be the case anymore either. Let's talk about Darren Young. For those of you that don't know, Darren Young is out currently. He's going to be out of action for several months. There was an injury that happened in Little Rock, Arkansas, during a WWE main event taping. He was in there. He was in a match with Epico, and he landed weird on the ring apron on his elbow, and the match was stopped immediately. Like it rarely happens where we see a match stopped immediately. The referee and the ringside doctor realized he was hurt. They had everything checked out on there. Dave Meltzer is reporting and confirming this week in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that he is going to be out for 6 months. So we're not going to see him until July or August. Darren Young is going to be missing out on a WrestleMania payday, which is pretty rough for him. They gave him a pretty decent push with vignettes with Bob Backlund, being his coach and everything like that, doing the Make Darren Young Great Again as a spoof to the Make America Great Again with Donald Trump. And then, he was off of Raw and used mostly with Main Event to help really bolster up that show. and wasn't in any big WrestleMania plans, but he could have been in a backstage segment, probably in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, so he's going to miss out on a WrestleMania check this year, which is pretty crazy. I'm going to link the clip of where he got injured in the description of this video, so you can go check that out. Pretty crazy stuff to see what goes on there, and it doesn't look like he landed all that hard, but Darren Young out 6 months having surgery. Let's go to this day in wrestling history. We're going to move on to that and move me to the middle here. And of course, I try to keep things very Milwaukee-centric with you guys, right? So let's talk about this day in wrestling history. 15 years ago, WWF was here in my hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin to present WWF at the time, No Way Out. This show has some significance because it was the debut of the New World Order in the WWF, which had the return of all three founding members, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Hulk Hogan. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall hadn't been on WWF programming since 1996, and Hulk Hogan hadn't been on since 1993. The three of them would interfere in the main event. 15,291 on hand for attendance at the Bradley Center, which is where Fastlane is going to be. I'm going to be attending that on March 5th. 575,000 homes watching on pay-per-view. They said that was down from the 2001 edition with 590,000 buys, but I bet you any money Monday Night Raw the next night had a pretty good ratings boost thanks to the NWO coming back here in Milwaukee. They had a Sunday Night Heat pre-show match with Diamond Dallas Page defeating the Big Boss Man by disqualification to retain the WWE European Championship. The APA, the Acolyte Protection Agency, defeated Lance Storm and Christian, Scotty 2 Hotty and Albert, the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, and Billy and Chuck in a tag team turmoil match to earn a WWF Tag Team Championship match at WrestleMania. So it looks like we've been doing tag team turmoil for a while, all the way back in 2002. It's not just a SmackDown thing anymore. Rob Van Dam defeated Goldust at this. Taz and Spike Dudley defeated Booker T and Test to retain the WWF Tag Team Championship. William Regal defeating Edge in a brass knuckles on a pole match to retain the WWF Intercontinental Championship. The Rock defeated The Undertaker here in Milwaukee. Kurt Angle defeated Triple H. Stephanie McMahon was the special referee. With the win, Kurt Angle became the #1 contender for the undisputed WWF Championship at WrestleMania. And as I said, in the main event, NWO interfered in what was going on in the main event, which led to Chris Jericho defeating Stone Cold Steve Austin to retain, once again, the WWF undisputed WWF Championship. That's this day in history for February 17th, all the way back to 2002. No Way Out from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, as always, I've been saying, I can't even say as always, going forward as always, I am here to take your questions, either by phone, which you can call in and leave a voicemail for me at the number that is on your screen right now, or you can head over to Ask FM and ask me any of your questions that you might have about wrestling, what's going on with storylines, and we're going to get into a couple of those right now. I'm looking at the time of how far we are. We are 26 minutes in or so to this episode, and we're going to get in to a couple of questions. We got 2 in this week. The first one being, do you think Luke Harper will win on SmackDown Live's Battle Royal on Tuesday? So, one, we don't know who's all going to be in the Battle Royal. There are not a lot of men that are on there. Usually you have a 30-man over-the-top Battle Royal, right? That's the way it goes. It's usually a 20 to 30. And we went over on the SmackDown review the number of men that we have on SmackDown going forward. So I think Luke Harper is going to win it. I think this is going to set up Luke Harper versus Bray Wyatt. Randy Orton in the corner. Something's going to happen. Something will happen where I think Randy Orton is going to turn on Bray Wyatt. But yes, I do see Luke Harper winning, because there has to be some sort of tension going forward into WrestleMania other than just Randy and Bray. You've got to have that tension of your world champion going up against somebody that he's familiar with, somebody that is really seething to get at him. And right now, the only person that really wants to get at Bray Wyatt is Luke Harper. To me, that seems to be the only logical choice going forward in all of this. But we're going to have to wait until Tuesday to see what happens in that Battle Royal. The next question we got was, do you think that a heel turn would be good enough to save the career of Roman Reigns, or is he now forever damaged goods in the WWE? For me, that's a hard one. We know that the WWE wants him to be the John Cena of Monday Night Raw, that he is Superman, he is the Hulk Hogan, he is the guy that never gives up, he's always going to come back, he's going to battle his way through. But the fans aren't buying it. They didn't want him at number 30 in the Royal Rumble after he just had and was defeated for the Universal title earlier in the night. They didn't want him there. They booed him. This past Monday night when his music hit and Stephanie McMahon was in the ring, they booed him. Anytime he's in the ring right now, it is the worst thing to have out there. Now, they say that any reaction is a good reaction, and if it's a strong reaction, even better. But it's the reaction that they don't want to have right now. They don't want to have the booing reaction. Do I think a heel turn is the best thing right now for his career? Yes. Absolutely 100%. Will it save his career? I don't know. I don't know. If they went with a solid heel turn, went with a full-on heel turn, now he's going to have to beat Braun Strowman at Fastlane to set up The Undertaker coming in, and no one is going to boo The Undertaker in their right mind, no matter what he says. He could try to be a heel, and it's not going to work in this day and age. He is a legend in the business. He's in there as, he's the guy you've got to get past. Worked wonders for Brock Lesnar in his career. Brock Lesnar is one of the top heels in the business right now. If Roman Reigns goes into WrestleMania as a face, he will not leave WrestleMania as a face, because my sneaking suspicion is Roman Reigns is going to win. He is going to win against The Undertaker. Not only that, I have this sneaky feeling that they're going to hand one of The Undertaker's finishing moves over to Roman Reigns to finish off The Undertaker this year. Whether it's the Last Ride Powerbomb or it is a pile driver. I see them giving that to Roman Reigns. Yes, he's got his Superman punch. Yes, he's got his spear. But hasn't The Undertaker sat up from a spear before? He's been hit by a spear once or twice. I could definitely see them doing something like that, because if Roman Reigns were to use one of The Undertaker's signature moves against him, you will have the baddest man in the yard for a long time to come. And they need to push him at that point, not as a face, but as the bad guy, and have him run over everyone in their path. Yes, you've got Braun Strowman doing the same thing right now on Raw's roster, and he seems to be fit as the guy that really should be the next big man, but they want Roman Reigns to be out there and try to sell the t-shirts. But it's not going to work right until you flip him over to be a heel. That's the way that I see it. So, as I said earlier, if you want to leave a question for me in the program, you can definitely call the number that is listed here on your screen. It's also in the description of this video. You've also got Ask FM. The link is down below along with the phone number. If you want to donate to the 414 and become a member of Patreon's fans here, got a few of them right now. You can go to patreon.com/the414show and sign up to pledge today for as little as $1. It'll get you early access to this show every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday here on youtube.com. It's going to be a great time. We're moving forward, getting a lot of stuff done. Don't forget, on your way out, hit that like button. Get the like button on the screen there. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe as well. If you're watching this, you've made it all the way to the end, you're not a subscriber, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Definitely tell other people about this show as well. If you're a wrestling fan and you like this show and you're like, I know other people that would like how this show works as well, I need to get them involved. Throw them a link over to the channel. Tweet to me over on Twitter at the 414 show. Links to all the social media is down in the description of this video. It's been scrolling across the bottom of your screen the entire time. Facebook, Instagram, Facebook. It's all there. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming out once again. Until next time, this is Rusty. I'm out.
To the last defender. They